And the most important thing is, I've been using Firefox since version 1. Anyone here who's using Firefox? If you're not using Firefox, it's cool. For as long as you're not using the big blue E, it's fine with us. Okay? So what is Mozilla? So most of the time when we ask people, do you know Mozilla? Yes, we know Firefox. But Mozilla is more than just Firefox. Why? Mozilla is a global nonprofit. So we started with this. For those who are too young to know, this is Netscape. Okay? So it's the very first browser that I had used when I was introduced to the World Wide Web a couple of decades ago. Okay? The internet came to the Philippines something like 1994. I was using the internet as early as 1995 when I was in high school. And the very first browser that I had used is Netscape. So let me tell you a story. Where did Mozilla came into play after Netscape? Netscape is a startup in the States. Their main product is a browser called Netscape Navigator. So being a startup, they're into business of providing software to companies and to individuals. Now, when Windows 95 was introduced by Microsoft, it was so cool. Anyone here tried Windows 95? Or am I the only one? Cool, okay? So it was one of the coolest operating systems from Microsoft. No doubt about it. But there was a problem. With Windows 95, it came with a built-in Internet Explorer browser. And when it was launched commercially, people are not allowed to install any other browser. You are forced to use Internet Explorer. Okay? So Netscape was the one, I think they were the first company to sue Microsoft and ask the US Supreme Court, hey, can you please declare what Microsoft is doing as something illegal? Okay? After a few months, Netscape won. The US Supreme Court asked Microsoft, please open Microsoft Windows 95 so that other browsers will be installed. That's our first victory. Okay? But being a startup company, we need funding. Came into play AOL, America Online. So it's what's one of the biggest ISPs in the States. But we know AOL is siding to Microsoft. They're very much lenient to Microsoft. So our engineers thought, these guys are going to kill us. Okay? So what they did, they thought of a way so that Netscape will not die even if AOL will take over. So what is that way? Why don't we give away the source code of Netscape to the world? Analysts in the Silicon Valley during that time were telling Netscape, you guys are crazy. It's like you're a chef, you're giving away the recipe of your works for free. That is not common that time. But we were not the first open source company. Linux was there way before Mozilla came into play. Okay? So the essence or the project wherein we gave away the source code of Netscape was called the Mozilla Project. It's not working again. Okay? I'll have my slides voice activated. Can you click next? Okay. Next. Okay. Appear. Okay, next, 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 next. Okay, cool. Stop. Okay. There. Okay. So Mozilla project was launched in 1998. Okay, so I put it there because most of the time I'm asked by my friends, what does Mozilla mean? So I asked one of our older engineers, so why did they choose the name Mozilla? So it's something related to mosaic, and according to him, Godzilla was being played in movie theaters around the States during that time. That's why we have this mascot. Dino is now retired. We call him Dino, but actually he's a lizard. So, okay, next. We also have a brand new brand identity, a new brand identity. So this is the new Mozilla logo. So everywhere you will go, you might see this. So you can also type that if you're using Firefox. I won't tell you what will happen to your browser if you will type that into your address bar, but it is something cool. Okay? Next. Being a nonprofit, we have a mission. So what is our mission? Next. It is to ensure that the internet will remain as a global public resource, which is open and accessible to all. If there are issues everywhere related to accessibility, openness in the internet, Mozilla is always in the forefront of things. Next. Okay, so some stuff that we are working on. Okay, so we are one of the proponents for the standardization of HTML5. Next. So we also had worked with Unity and other companies to bring HTML5 awesomeness to the browser. So with Unity, we want to bring games, having web as their platform. Next. We are also venturing into VR. Okay, so we see that the VR is the future. So maybe in the future, we'll have a VR-enabled version of Koha. Next. So different ways to get involved to Mozilla. Here in the Philippines, we are a small team. We do not have a full-time staff here in the Philippines. Almost all are volunteers. Actually, in Mozilla, the organization, we have around 900 paid staff and more than 10,000 volunteers to work on different Mozilla projects. I saw in a slide earlier that Koha is using Bugzilla. Cool. Okay, next. Okay, so the different areas of contribution for Mozilla. Yeah, stop. Okay. Here in the Philippines, I am also leading the way for us to have Mozilla products translated to Filipino. So if Koha developers, users need help on how to translate the product to Filipino, we can help you with that. Okay. Next. Okay, so this is our mantra. Don't hurt the web, use open standards. So, on to my talk. So, what is FOSS? Most of the time, people associate open source with FOSS and vice versa. But what really is FOSS? FOSS stands for free and open source software. So anything that is free and open source is equivalent to FOSS. But when we talk about free, we refer to freedom. Not all the time we refer to free as in free beer, freebie. Okay? So free as in freedom. So anyone is freely licensed to use, copy, study and change the code so that it will be able to adapt to a particular purpose or what they want to do with it. Okay? The source code is openly shared to encourage people to voluntarily improve the design of the software. So now, what do skeptics say about FOSS? Okay? Even if we are using free and open source software, people, especially from businesses, and here in the Philippines, the way we see it, in academia, they are still skeptical on using FOSS. Why? They say, FOSS is not secured. So I'll just run through the different things that they say about FOSS. The quality of FOSS software is not at par with commercial or proprietary software. It is hard to customize FOSS software. There's not much freedom with FOSS. FOSS is not flexible. FOSS is not interoperable. And lastly, there is lesser support options for FOSS software. So let's go through one by one. FOSS is not secured. When people discover bugs in open source software, most of the time, the fix is introduce in a matter of hours or even days. Days at most, okay? With closed software, you are at the mercy of the people, of the company who made that software when they will be releasing a patch for that vulnerability, okay? For example, in Windows, the older versions, there was a bug, there was a security loophole that was not patched for the last 12 years. That is scary, okay? Mhm. Okay, quality of FOSS software. So some FOSS software or projects involve over 1,000 developers. For Mozilla alone, we are proud to say that we have more than 10,000 volunteers working on different Mozilla products. For Firefox, the web browser, there are around 2,000 plus active contributors, not to mention our full-time engineers who are working on Firefox. So there are countless developers out there trying to work so that innovation will come to the software. New features will be introduced over time. But with closed software, it normally involves just a handful of developers from within their organization. And again, you are at the mercy of that company when they are going to introduce new features. And most of the time, when they introduce new features, it will come with a price. Okay? FOSS is hard to customize. For those using Firefox, do you agree? Firefox is hard to customize? No, okay? So I think we're the first browser to introduce themes. We're the first browser to introduce add-ons. Not true, okay? So FOSS is not hard to customize. Businesses can take a piece of open source software and tweak it to their liking. That is how cool open source software is. Okay, so since the source code is open, it is as simple as a matter of modifying the source code and to add the different functionalities that you like to do with it or for the software to function. So can we do that with closed or proprietary software? No. Maybe yes, but you will have to ask that company and maybe you will need to pay them. Okay. There is not much freedom with FOSS. Okay. Why is not? Okay. So businesses free themselves from severe vendor lock-in by using free and open source software. Okay. With FOSS, users are in control. That's why one of our motto in Mozilla, when you use Firefox, you are in control of the web that you want. Okay? We are not dictating on how you are going to see the web. We are not dictating on how you are going to use the web for your own benefit and for the benefit of the general public. Okay, I'm not touching anything. Okay, FOSS is not flexible. Let's see. Using closed software is like buying and using a treadmill that requires you to upgrade both the software and the hardware infinitely, ad infinitum. Okay? Open software is typically much less resource intensive and can run on even older hardware. You will have the flexibility to decide when you are going to upgrade the software and your hardware. Okay? So I understand Koha is being updated every 6 months. That is cool. For us, Firefox is being updated every 6 weeks. That's why if you're using Firefox, there will be times wherein when you open the software, it will run a script saying that Firefox is being updated. And that is done silently. The updates are being pushed to your computer silently. Okay, especially if there are security flaws that we found out with a version of Firefox. Right now, we just released last week version 54 of Firefox, and we are saying that it is the fastest Firefox yet. Most of my friends, when I ask them, we are friends, okay? What browser do you use? So they will normally tell us or tell me, I'm not using Firefox. Why? Because it's too slow. Okay, okay. So I'm using the circle one with different colors. Okay, okay. So not naming names. Okay, so it's fine. Okay, so without us, they won't have their browser. Okay, but here's the thing. Starting this month, there will be several releases of Firefox up to November. If you're telling me now that Firefox is too slow, wait until November. Okay? The browser from the G company, they're running at something like 15 FPS, frames per second, 1.5. We promise to bring Firefox by November to 50 FPS. So tell me if this is still slow, okay? I will tell our engineers, we're still slow. Okay. So one cool thing with open source software is that it gives you the flexibility to decide when to upgrade your software and hardware. FOSS is not interoperable. This is the common fear of businesses. That's why they are not adopting free and open source software. This is not true. Okay? Open source software is much better at adhering to open standards than closed software. For as long as they are using the standards. That's why we at Mozilla, we're trying to push for the standardization of HTML5. We are no longer in the era wherein you will create a web page and you will put somewhere beneath the web page or in the footer section, this website is best viewed using. We are no longer in that era. Okay? When you view websites today, they should appear the same across different platforms, across different browsers, except for the one with an Apple logo. Okay? So, if you value interoperability with other businesses, computers, systems, and users, I can assure you that open source, free and open source software will not limit you to do that. Okay? Cool so far? Cool. Okay. One more thing. Businesses say that, hey, there are lesser support options for free and open source software. Are you wondering how open source companies make their earnings? It's by means of support. Okay, so there are companies. Okay, so generally open source software are free. Free to download, free to use. But there are software companies that do open source stuff who will charge you for who will charge you for technical support. Of course, it will come with premium, okay? If you don't want to pay that company premium for technical support, then you can rely on technical and non-technical support forums out there. For Mozilla, for Firefox, anyone who had tried to contact our support? We have a community space here in Makati. It's in Pasong Tamo. But we have somewhere in our office door saying that this is not a technical support office for Mozilla. So if you need support, if you need help for Firefox, you can go to help.firefox.com or help.mozilla.org. Or the best way to get help if you're using Firefox is to tweet and make sure that you use the hashtag Firefox. Someone will respond to you in a matter of minutes or even hours. And our technical support, 99% of them are non-paid staff. They are volunteers. Also users of Firefox. That is one of the best ways for people to contribute to the Mozilla project so we can help other Firefox users. Now, for companies here in the Philippines and abroad who are using Firefox and they want to have premium support, we have that program too. Okay? So remember I said earlier, we update Firefox every 6 weeks. Corporate users, they don't like that idea. Okay? That's why we have a version of Firefox that we call as LTS, long-term support. Right now, the current version of Firefox is version 54. We have a version called 44 LTS. So it's 10 versions away, but it has longer support. But it comes with a premium. So that is one way of how Mozilla is earning. Okay? Uh, so basically, those are the 7 things that skeptics hate about or say about free and open source software. So if your organization is not yet using free and open source software, you have to think cost-wise, operational-wise, flexibility, adaptability. Now is the best time to use free and open source software. If I am talking to you something like 15 years ago, maybe you'll laugh at me. But now, even the close software companies, the big ones, they are venturing into open source. Okay? It's not fake news. You will hear that, and me, myself. Okay, so the tables are turning. The companies who hate free and open source software before, they are now supporting and venturing into free and open source software. But again, takeaway there, free is not freebie. It's not free beer. It's freedom. Okay? The freedom to choose, the freedom to tinker on the code. Okay? So if you have questions, now is the best time. And my clicker is not yet. Sige, just press it. Next. Okay. Maybe there's a jammer here or something. It's not working. It's actually my last slide, so it's... Do we have questions about free and open source software or anything that is Mozilla doing? Oh, there. Okay. So this is the official Mozilla Philippines website. That is my email address. If you're too shy to ask questions now, feel free to shoot me an email. I'm also active in Twitter, Bob Reyes. And now is the time for me to answer questions if you have any. None? Going once? Twice? Just like the shirt. Later, after lunch, I'll draw and check on my Facebook and Twitter. Okay, so if there are no questions, maraming salamat po. Magandang umaga.
To award a certificate of appreciation to Mr. Robert Bob Reyes of Mozilla Philippines, may I call on the conference chair, Maizalme Fosca, to be assisted by Eugene Espinosa, ILS, Koha ILS volunteer. For our next speaker, let's welcome from Technological Institute of the Philippines, April Lynn T. Galiana to discuss KohaCon ILS journey of the Technological Institute of the Philippines, the first known KohaCon ILS installation in the Philippines.
On behalf of the Technological Institute of the Philippines, I would like to extend my warmest greetings to all of the participants of KohaCon Conference 2017. To the organizer that makes the event possible, thank you. It is a great pleasure for us to share with you our ILS journey. It started in 2005 that TIP installed Koha and started to use the OPAC or the online library catalog for searching but not fully implemented on the other modules. Then in 2012, we attended the 3-day seminar or training in National Library of the Philippines entitled Koha Integrated Library Management System. After the seminar or training, the institution started to plan or planning, installation, and implementation of KoHa 2.2.9 headed by the directress of the library, of the TIP library, Ms. Maribel Estepa, and the Chief IT Officer, Mr. Alan Digo. All, of course, with the support and approval of the administration of the institution. Um, it includes the migration of databases from previous version that we have to KoHa 2.2.9. Also, planning about the encoding of library books and materials, circulation, inventory, reports, and OPAC. Our target date for the full implementation is first semester of the school year 2013 to 2014. Early 2013 summer, we conducted the pilot testing of the circulation modules, inventory, library card validation, and the OPAC, or the online public access catalog. Then in June 2013, per semester, we fully implement those modules, the circulation modules, the OPAC, the library card validation. As you can see here, this is the TIP Library OPAC, which you can access on our website. And also, we have yeah, our TIP Library OPAC on-site. Then here we have the TIP library circulation. We have photocopies and room use, reading records, and printing services. Then we have also integrate our library card validation from our integrated system of the institution. Then in 2014, we first conducted our library inventory and generate the inventory reports. Here our TIP library inventory. In 2015 to present, we are enhancing or continuous developing our TIP integrated library system to make sure that to make the to make it easier to use for the user and also to serve our customer satisfaction. There are some schools that benchmark with TIP. The first one was the Jose Rizal University. They conducted the benchmark with us last June 6, 2014 to and June 24, 2014 to learn about TIP implementation and usage of Koha integrated library system. And also, there are some school like Don Mariano Marcos Memorial State University and the University of Cordilleras who also benchmark with us. Then the latest one is the Nueva Ecija Provincial Library. Thank you. That would be all of my presentation, and God bless us all. Um, do you have any question? Yes.
Hello. Hello, good morning, ma'am. I'm Sonia Isip, a librarian of Don Mariano Marcos Memorial State University. Yes, we went to your institution to benchmark on KohaILS. That
Yes.
was, I think, 2014. And I noticed that we also used the version 2.9,
Yes.
and it's the version you're using.
Yes.
A while ago, our first speaker discussed of the other versions, and we were actually amazed of the new versions up to 3.20, I think, and more versions coming. Do you have a plan also to migrate to newer versions? Because it's one of our dilemma now. Because I think we have the same version, and I think we're already far away.
Um, Actually, we are studying uh, with the with the new version that is released. So if there will be a result on our study that we can, if it is easier um, to upgrade to a higher version, we will upgrade our system. But right now, we're still on the process or on studying on the um, newer version.
So your institution did not venture yet to a new version, or you haven't started studying new version because we might benchmark again to your institution if
Oh.
you did.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any more question? Okay. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Aprilyn. And we just finished the first three presentations for this morning, and we're now ready for lunch. So early for supposedly for 11:30, but we may now have our lunch. And please be back before 1 in the afternoon. For locations of restaurants, you may proceed here for the more expensive ones, and to your left would be the cheaper restaurants. And in the registration booth, you'll see t-shirts for sale. Proceeds will go to our beneficiaries as well. So see you again this afternoon at 1 p.m.